Well, because there are only two ways to enter the United States if you're a refugee. One is a refugee, and a refugee must be outside of the United States in order to apply for refugee status. The other method is asylum. An asylee must be in the United States in order to apply for asylum. But when we canceled refugee processing in Costa Rica, there was only one avenue open for people who were trying to flee their countries. That meant they had to come to the United States and actually enter the United States before they could apply for this benefit. And hence we saw these caravans that were filling the highways. People were walking over 2,000 miles to come to the United States to apply for asylum when we could have been processing them in Costa Rica. Now that's pretty much died down now because we made some arrangements with Guatemala and with Honduras to try and keep the people there. Mexico has also stepped up their inspections. They've opened up some new ports. Now, where is it all taking us? I don't know. I know that it's costing us a lot of money. It costs about, I would say, $400 a day to detain an individual, and to detain children, it's about $800 a day. We've got about 40,000 children detained in the United States, and last year we detained over 400,000 people, and we're paying for that. We taxpayers are paying for it. The chickens haven't come home to roost yet, but they will. We had to tap into other budgets. We declared a border emergency. Whether it's an emergency or not, I don't know. There's a lot of politics going on. We keep talking about immigration reform, and I think everybody agrees that we need to get some sort of reform. But the problem is not whether we need reform or not. It's what sort of politics are going to be involved in the process. The Republicans and the Democrats both agree that we need to reform our immigration laws. It's just a matter of how it's going to happen. Now, whether it's going to happen in this administration or in the next one, I don't know. I hope it does. There's a lot of people that are here without an immigration status. Last count from the Department of Homeland Security was 10.5 million people that are here. 80% of them have been here more than 30 years. So it's not like they're a new population. 4% have been here less than 5 years. So if we had a lot of people coming in, that number at the bottom, you would think would be larger, not smaller. It shrunk. It was 12% in 2007. Now it's 4% that have been here less than 5 years. So that number appears to be shrinking. And I guess at some point, I don't know how long you can have a shadow population of 10.5 million people that are not enjoying the benefits of the society, but are setting roots in the society, are developing businesses, are buying homes, are participating in the economy. I don't know how long we can do that, but this is my long-winded way of saying immigration is a problem. It touches all Americans, and we've never been comfortable with immigration, even though we talk about we're a nation of immigrants, and immigrants, are our backbone and our mainstay. There's always been this question about when to pull in the ladder. When do we have too many immigrants? And throughout history, at least throughout our history, that's always been the rub. When do we pull the ladder in? When do we close the door on immigration? Fortunately, we haven't closed the door on immigration for any great lengths of time. And for all the hemming and the hollering and hooting, if you were to take 100 Americans randomly and pick them and say, okay, now show me the German, show me the Irishman, show me the Italian, all these groups that were persecuted coming into the United States, you won't see them. You can't tell them. We've become an undifferentiated mass of people called Americans. And I kind of like that notion, and that's what immigration is about. It's a blending and it's a mixing of cultures, and so that you come out as one. Our money, e pluribus unum, out of many one, and that's where I see America heading. I'd like to see it continue in that direction, but we're going to need some political help, and hopefully that's somewhere in the future. That's my short version of what's wrong with immigration. Brian, back to you. I didn't put you to sleep, did I?
No. I mean, I have my thoughts in note because I don't want to interrupt. Well, that's a lot of information, Rick. Thanks. And I know that, Ken has something really want to say that we've been talking about for the past few days. And I'll pass the mic to Ken, please.
Oh, could you remind me what that was? I'm kidding. No, thank you, Ricardo. That was interesting. I learned a little bit myself. I also was born near the border. I was born in San Diego, and had many friends who were not citizens when I was a kid. I didn't know it at the time. I kind of figured it out later. One of my best friends, Marion, he was Mexican, and we hung out in school all the time. And then one day he was gone. No one really knew where he was in the middle of the school year. He didn't move, from what I could tell, but I sort of suspect him and his family were picked up and removed at that point. I've never confirmed that, but it seems to me that's maybe what happened to him. So ever since then, I've been sort of aware and curious about the immigration system and what's going on with it. One of the things Brian and I talked about the other day was, the history of immigration and where it came from and why it's here. So I just wanted to point out a couple things. I think Ricardo mentioned this a little. We're in a quota system, sort of a closed door system where you have to prove yourself to get in here. You have to apply and show that you're admissible and not diseased or sick in any way or any serious way, and then you're allowed in. Okay, it's a system we've always had. Because people want to come here. This is a great place to be, and everybody wants to come here, and I really don't blame them for that. So we have this policy. We've always had this policy of lining people up outside the door. You have to apply to come in, and we only have so many spaces available. That's been this way for a very long time. But through the years, we've had issues with that. The Chinese Exclusion Act of the 1800s, the other issues, coming through time, and it's shown us to be a little less than perfect with our immigration system. We could be a lot better with it. It's always been a bit of a political football as far as Congress goes and how they handle it. So people aren't treated very fairly in our system. And I've gotten used to the fact of every day seeing a headline or two about how we are doing it wrong. And it's true. We're not doing it quite the humane way. For example, the latest thing of keeping people outside the border before they can enter the U.S. to process their asylum claims. That's the opposite of international law. We should be letting them in to a place of safety, then process their asylum claims. But we don't do it that way. We leave them in a place of danger in order to do that. So there's plenty of reporting on what goes on in these border towns and how dangerous it is. But we're violating international law, and no one seems to care. It's a sad state of affairs right now. I hope someday soon, like November 3rd, we're going to change all that into something a little more fair, a little more humane. But right now, as it concerns the EB-5 situation, we seem to be in pretty solid ground. This latest round of the halting of any immigrant visas that was widely announced in the last few days, it doesn't affect the EB-5 situation. They were excluded from that problem. So it's still full steam ahead for that. I hope my rambling has made some sense here for everybody. With that, Ryan, what do you think?